College football's playoff has been a big hit. This year it expands from 4 teams to 12 teams, and one of those teams is guaranteed to be a mid-major program from a Group of 5 conference like the MAC. NIU Vice President and Director of Athletics, Sean T. Frazier, is envisioning a second playoff field made up primarily of the other best Group of 5 teams in the country. He says his plan has lots of upside, including creating more excitement for players and fans in December. It would create more revenue streams for the Group of 5 schools, and it could provide a boost to the existing bowl games by using them as playoff venues. Here's more from Frazier on his playoff idea in the second part of my interview with him. Let's zoom in on football a little bit more here. There's always been the FBS and the FCS. Do you see an in-between division where MAC schools and Mountain West schools and some of these G5 schools would fit into? Does there need to be like a third grouping, a third category?
Yeah, I would say no. I think that it's how we do, it's how we peel the orange, right? I think that for us is that we have a structure that has a pathway now, because the CFP, there's going to be a slot for a G5 champion in the playoffs. So, okay, there were people really upset about that. I was concerned about playing for a championship. Even FCS has a championship. Now you'll have the best, highest ranked Group of 5 champion has access to that playoff. So there you go. There it is. Now, what we don't have is the financial components associated with that. They'll pay for our ability for travel and other types of things in that particular playoff structure, but our ability to generate more revenue to deal with all the new things like the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, folks opting out. I can give you a plethora of reasons why I need more money and that I do not have a money tree in the backyard, okay? But I do think that ultimately what needs to happen is to take a look at our structure. There's great support by our fan bases to see our programs, especially at the G5, have a postseason opportunity that would garner more. Okay, so if you take a look at my crazy, right? Just be patient with it. We look at 5 champions. 1 is going to be automatically in the CFP. We know that the highest ranked champion goes to the CFP.
Before you expand on that,
please.
How confident, it seems like already some SEC and Big Ten schools, as they're expanding and adding these major powerhouse football programs, some of these schools are already maybe kind of balking at the fact that a Power 5 or a Group of 5 program will get an automatic berth into a 12 or 14 team playoff. How confident do you feel like that's always going to be there for a Group of 5 team?
Well, you're baiting me, because that's the whole reason why I want to go through this process of securing some type of organized playoff, because we're not sure. We do know now that the CFP, the majority of the voting privileges do rest with 2 conferences, one the Big Ten, the other one the SEC. So again, as things change and evolve, how long will we have this particular magical spot into the CFP? I don't know that. I'm going to take their word for it at this point, but as far as the changes that have happened, I didn't believe that maybe there would only be 2 conferences that would have total control of the decision making, but now it is, right?
Your idea then for giving something else out there for the
that is correct.
Group of 5 schools.
So that led me and my crew to say, well, if that could change, well, this can change too. How about we take a look at what this looks like? We have great tie-ins to our bowls. Our bowls are fantastic. If it was up to me, we'd have tons of bowls all the time. But we do have bowls right now that are not as viewed as maybe some other bowls, right? For our bowl is a great example. We played in the Camilla Bowl. It was fantastic. We played against Arkansas State, yielded a 1.5 million viewers. Our MAC championship was viewed at 1.2 million viewers. It's not because of the fact that one was better than the other. It's because of the viewing and the ability to see 2 conferences, different conferences playing against each other, and the timing and the bowl pageantry. There's definitely a need. There's definitely a need to watch bowls. I'm saying that let's make it a meaningful championship experience. 2 head-to-head champions. You already have 1 champion going to the CFP. The other 2 can play each other with a round robin, and then the winners of those 2 can play another game for some type of de facto G5 championship, right? And let's take it even further than that. Let's take that champion. Let's take the individual that played in the team that played in the CFP, and then maybe week 0 before football starts in August, they play each other. You're creating now some relevancy and some dollars and something on the line where the supporters of those particular institutions and programs have something. We're creating a certain level of certainty around the investment around FBS football. It gives us an opportunity to continue to run our programs and to really reward those who've gone the extra mile to compete and win academically and athletically. So those things are just thrown up there. How are you going to get them done, Sean? Well, we need to take a look at the regular season. We got to take a look at the bowl structure. Maybe those bowl structures could be hosting semifinal games and championship games, and then it rotates. I don't see this as being rocket science. I really do believe that we can work this out and create some level of financial increase, revenue generation, quality of experience, championship culture, meaningful games in December, without tapping or destroying what's already been done and supported through the CFP structure. But we have to have the will and the energy to be able to implement it. So these are things that should be talked about, that are being talked about maybe in different circles, but we now need to move forward because of the uncertainty of the future. And I think it's time for us to get it done.
As you said, there needs to be the will out there to get this done. There needs to be some financial backing too, as you've also mentioned. Do you think there would be sponsorship dollars out there for a Group of 5 playoff?
I really do. I think right now, because of what just happened, which was some change within the CFP structure, the great minds and folks that have dreamt up some of the new things, the financial issues, but we have new things that us lower resource institutions have to contend with. For our ability to compete and have a brand of quality of FBS football that is competitive, that we are used to, that the public and our fan base wants to have, we've got to think outside the box, and we've got to increase our resources to do so. But there's already going to be meaningful games outside of the college football playoff. We know that, right? There's only going to be so many institutions that are going to be able to play in that tournament. So that's why the whole NIT thing came up, which I just described. We need to have some ability to be able to answer that financial challenge. And I think that right now, because of the new things that have changed on that regard, there's a lot more people now saying things could change again. And like you just had mentioned, that what if all of a sudden there isn't a guaranteed slot for the Group of 5? What if more resources are necessary to pay student athletes that the House case might result as we take a look at what happens with the settlement? So those are a lot of what ifs. And quite frankly, we have a lot of concrete needs that have to be addressed. And to have what ifs and maybes are probably not a good way to deal with strategic thought as well as planning for the future. And that's why things that we can control, we should control for the betterment of the game.
Okay, and just to clarify for people out there like me who hear NIT and they automatically think basketball, what you're saying is like basketball has an NCAA tournament and an NIT tournament, football could have its main college football playoff and then another playoff involving these Group of 5 schools.
And I'm speaking about G5, but you know and I know there's a lot of folks that are in these other Power 5 conferences that are not going to see any part of the CFP champion. I'm just being nice and not really talking about that. But the reality is that there's going to be a lot of those individuals, and why not have those individuals a part of this process? You know, I don't want to discriminate as it relates to G5 or Power 4. I'm just saying that we could take a look at this and basically make sure that we keep our bowl tie-ins, do the things necessary to support the student-athlete experience, hopefully maybe prevent more of these opt-outs that we're currently seeing with some of our student-athletes going, basically just saying, no, I'm going to wait for my pro career, and then also put some financial pieces to it. Maybe there's a name, image, and likeness component that pays the student-athletes, some merit-based component. Maybe there's some extra finances for the institution participating in said playoff structure. There's so many things that we could take a look at right now, especially with streaming, especially with other types of things that we know in the month of December, people are watching these games. We have a data set, a part of that. Why wouldn't we try to work that out for the betterment of FBS football?
Tomorrow, we're going to discuss the impact of name, image, and likeness on college sports. We'll be right back.